Charges in the assassination-style killing of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. ABC News also...
The internet is buzzing over the case of Brian Thompson, United Healthcare CEO, whose life was tragically ended by a 26-year-old software engineer. Public opinion is divided, and the story has ignited debates about morality, power, and systemic failings. As an academic philosopher that has spent some time studying ethics, I've decided to unpack this polarizing case. Is there ever a situation where such act of violence can be justified? Let's explore the story, moral complexities, and what it reveals about us as a society. In recent days, police arrested Luigi Mangione at a McDonald's in Altona, Pennsylvania, about 450 kilometers from New York City. A customer recognized him and alerted authorities. When apprehended, Luigi was visibly shaken, carrying fake IDs, a 3D printed firearm with a suppressor, and handwritten notes containing phrases like, "These parasites deserve it." Luigi's background adds to the intrigue. Coming from a wealthy Maryland family, he had a promising career in tech, working remotely from Hawaii. Things took a dark turn. Friends noticed his withdrawal from social media months ago, and he reported his struggle with a chronic back pain after surfing injury. His manifesto sheds light on his motivations, targeting the US healthcare system, accusing it of prioritizing profit over human lives. Luigi's manifesto states, "The US has the #1 most expensive healthcare system in the world, yet we rank roughly 42 in life expectancy." He blamed corporate greed and systemic corruption, arguing that these forces exploit Americans for profit. And this raises, of course, a profound question. Can violence be ever morally justified in pursuit of justice? Many people on the internet are praising Luigi for his actions, even calling him a hero, which might be slightly surprising. Sometimes they even feel sympathy towards him, and maybe because he's a good-looking guy, which actually shows that we tend to treat people that are 1. Similar to us, 2. Good-looking, in a privileged way. Imagine that he instead was overweight with a beard and a bit of a weirdo, a guy that spent most of his life in his mom's basement writing hateful comments on Reddit. Would we still praise him? I don't think so. So Nietzsche famously said, "If you smash a cockroach, you are a hero. If you smash a butterfly, you are evil." Morals have aesthetic criteria. So morality for Nietzsche is a herd instinct, one that makes us treat people that are similar to us in a privileged way. Back to the case. The big question is this act of violence morally justified? So when we are asking about justification in this context, we think about moral values. Therefore, was this act morally permissible? Because for sure it wasn't legal. But can act be morally evil and at the same time rational? Possibly. It all depends on the notion of morality, of course. And the two very important spheres that we need to differentiate in that case are the sphere of law and morality. Because, not everything that is moral is legal, and not everything that is legal is moral. Of course, a good law should reflect morals of the society, but it's of course not always the case, especially that people tend to have different moral values. Also, laws can be used by the government to impose immoral things on the society. Think about regimes, for example, like communist regimes. So illegal doesn't mean immoral, and vice versa. Perhaps some actions of those giant healthcare insurance companies are immoral, but you know what? They are still legal. And that's why I believe Luigi took the law into his own hands. So Jonathan Haidt's work on moral psychology sheds some light on this discussion. Haidt argues that human morality is shaped by 6 foundations: care, fairness, liberty, loyalty, authority, and sanctity. These foundations are universal across societies, though their emphasis varies across cultures. Luigi's actions can be examined through these lenses. 2 foundations that were violated by this giant corporation were fairness and care. So Luigi was driven by perceived unfairness in the healthcare industry, which he felt prioritized profit over people. So the system that is unable to provide a proper care for people. Haidt also points out that morality often emerges from gut instincts rather than rational deliberations. This could explain why Luigi's frustrations with injustice led him to an extreme act, bypassing more constructive avenues for change. So let's look at the act of violence in question. There are 2 main perspectives in ethics: the ontological one and utilitarian. From a deontological perspective, rules matter. Taking another life is inherently wrong, regardless of the circumstances. And of course, Luigi's actions violate this fundamental rule, making them unjustifiable. In contrast, utilitarianism evaluates actions based on their outcomes, and the outcomes are measured in happiness. So how much happiness can we maximize in the world given the act? So did Luigi's act maximize overall happiness or caused suffering, which is the opposite of happiness in this view? Well, likely not. For sure, the insurance company tightened their security, but no systemic reforms followed, at least for now. His actions arguably caused more harm than good, because a person is dead. So we have different moral systems based on deontology or utilitarianism. But the truth is that morality didn't ever emerge as a system. It's something natural that we humans possess. Some moral beliefs are natural and can be found across many different cultures in the world. Some are more unique given the time and location. And this moral instinct is something that we can observe in societies. So morality looks more like a social construct from this perspective, one that is most likely arbitrary. Okay, but what about objective good and evil? Well, it all depends on a meta-ethical theory that one follows. So objective existence of those values is usually enabled by a theistic view of the world, which of course coincides with more deontological perspective. But there are also visions of objective moral values from secular perspective, and this is a very potent ground for a discussion, but I don't think we have space for that here. The fact is that the majority of people acts in the society like those values are objective, so we actually impose our moral instinct on others. So let's test that instinct. It's unliving your neighbor because they mow the lawn on 6 a.m. on Sunday, okay? Is unliving a person in an act of self-defense when you have to protect your life or the life of your family, okay? Is unliving a person that hurt your child, okay? Defending life or other very important values in your life seems to be a natural moral justification of violence. But what about hatred driven by the lack of justice? Like in an example with the harmed child, and as in our case, I believe. Do we have the right to revenge? In the old laws, the right to revenge was honored, but not today. I believe that many people in our societies have a feeling that revenge is something justful, but at the same time we portray that more as an affection than a rational act. Revenge feels more emotional, of course, and we portray that more as a savage act than a rational one. And this most likely sparks from Christian values, of course, according to which we should always forgive other people. But the ability to forgive isn't something natural to us humans. So what was Luigi trying to achieve actually? Well, he was trying to achieve justice, possibly fit his need of revenge, and highlight the need for systemic change. So the goal of having a fair healthcare system seems just. So maybe violence wasn't the appropriate tool for that. Could he achieve that in a different way, without violence? So the one sentence that is worth noting here is that violence is the final tool when everything else fails. So first, you should always try to solve the problem in a peaceful way, and if everything else fails, violence is the last resort. And I think there are different ways that Luigi could explore and use to achieve his goal and maybe be even more effective at it. As unliving the CEO didn't really change anything, just made the insurance company to be more aware of their security. So what he should have done? I don't know, maybe creating an NGO that would work towards having a better healthcare system. You could try and influence the public opinion or politicians, for example. There are really many different options, but he didn't even try actually. So why do some people praise his actions? Because they resonate with global frustrations about inequality and systemic injustice. Many people feel powerless against the corporate giants, making Luigi a symbol of rebellion and their frustration. But this romanticized view ignores the ethical and practical failures of his method, because he didn't change much. So the case isn't simple. Unliving the rich is just barbarian. But on the other hand, we feel that revenge is something that we have the right to. In my opinion, this act of violence wasn't justified, because it wasn't rational, and it wasn't moral, and it wasn't lawful. And he could actually achieve more by different means. The case is complex. It forces us to confront deep questions about justice, morality, and the limits of acceptable actions. While his grievances against the healthcare systems are valid, his violence was neither morally justified nor practically effective. I believe that violence should always be a last resort, and as a society, we always should try first to channel our frustrations into a constructive change, not destructive acts, because very often nothing follows after violence. And the most important part of this video, what do you think? Do you think this act was morally justified? Let me know in the comments section below, I'm very curious. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you find it informative. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to give me a like and a subscription if you want to see more videos like that in the future. Thank you once again, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye.